friends, welcome back. Let us continue with our discussion with some other approaches to motivate employees. In the previous discussion, we talked about some flexible work schedules, then we talked about some other aspects. Today, I am going to talk about one more approach, that is using rewards to motivate employees. No doubt, pay is a very important factor of any job. Without pay, no employee would strive and would continue as part of that organization. The other aspect is that pay can never be a driving force to job satisfaction, but how pay can motivate employees, that is the main question. It is important, but not that much important to motivate employees or lead to job satisfaction. But yes, how pay can be considered as an important part to motivate employees, that has to be discussed in detail. To recognize the individual's contribution, then rewards play an important role in motivating employees. Any employee would just come to the work, perform his duties, go back, and he will receive a monthly salary. That is not going to motivate him. But if any employee who has contributed to the organization through his job, through his role, and if he or she is being rewarded through pay, that becomes important to understand that pay can never be underestimated in order to motivate employees. But how pay is so important to motivate employees? So, we have to consider certain parameters pertaining to pay, that how pay can be regularized as a motivating factor. So, the first is what to pay employees, in what manner. So, this constitutes to a pay structure which is being offered to any employee. The other is how to pay individual employees, in what manner. If any employee who has performed well, then how that enhanced pay has to be offered to that employee. What benefits and choices to offer. Within pay, it can be in different forms, that certain benefits can be offered to that individual, not in cash, but maybe in some form of beneficial policy. And the last is how to construct employee recognition programs. So, these are the certain parameters where rewards can be considered in a very subjective and objective manner, where certain recognition is playing important role, which is not beyond pay, but some kind of recognition that is being given in form of subjective praise, that will also motivate employees in form of over and above the salary in terms of benefits, in certain form of plans, or in form of rewards. So, let us talk about these reward system in more detailed manner. So, what to pay in terms of establishing a pay structure? As I mentioned, any individual who joins an organization, he will perform his duty and he will receive as a monthly paycheck. Now, this is very much in accordance with the internal equity of the job, that how much job one has performed and what is the worth of the job, that the employee has to be paid equally. So, this is the internal equity of the job, that this is the job, this is the pay, and if you equate both the role and the job, then your pay will be worth to it. And also balancing the external equity in terms of that whatever pay an individual is receiving, it is in comparison to over and above the market or industry he or she is working, that he is getting maximum salary in comparison to the market in that organization. So, when we are talking about motivating employees through pay, it is about pay structure where there is balance between internal and external equity, and it is only possible through job evaluation. The more the job has been evaluated and the individual has performed accordingly, this leads to motivation of employees. Now, sometimes what happens, that maybe the employer, that is the organization, will lag in paying that equal amount of pay in terms of market industry. In that case, what happens, maybe the employee will not stay in that organization for a longer period of time, because there is no balance between internal and external equity. So, obviously, the best pay system reflects what the job is worth and also stays competitive related to the labor market. Some organizations prefer to pay above the market, then definitely employee will stick to the organization, he will stay in the organization. While some may lag the market because they can't afford to pay market rates, or they are willing to bear the cost of paying below market, namely highly turnover, as people are lured to better paying jobs. As I mentioned, that sometimes organizations lack to pay equal to the labor market, then in that case the organizations are also ready to face the repercussion in terms of high retention or higher turnover. Thus, by paying more, you may get better qualified, more highly motivated employees who will stay with the organization longer. So, definitely pay as a reward is an important factor in motivating employees. So, a study covering 126 large organizations found employees who believed that they were receiving a competitive pay level had higher morale and were more productive, and customers were more satisfied as well. But pay is often the highest single operating cost for an organization, which means paying too much can make the organization's product or services too expensive. Now, this is the impact of paying high to the employees and has an impact on the products and services, because again there is regulation of capital that is being earned or accumulated by any organization, that if employees are being paid higher, then the services rendered to the customers are also very expensive. This creates a cycle where capital is being generated and how out of that capital the salary is being paid to every employee. So, it is a strategic decision an organization must make with clear trade-offs. Trade-offs here means that how the product will be traded, how much profit will be generated, how much revenue will be generated, and how that revenue can be used in different form, that is first of all pay rewards. Another way to balance this equity is through variable pay programs. Now, pay structure is one way to motivate employees, the another is variable pay programs. It is many organizations, public and private, are moving away from pay based on seniority or credentials, but more of them are focusing on one way to reward employees and can be defined as a pay plan that bases a portion of an employee's pay on some individual or organizational measures of performance. So, such as variable pay programs in terms of piece rate, merit based, bonus, profit sharing, and employee stock ownership plans. Now, here it is about that variable pay programs can be in form of piece rate, that how much products have been manufactured in a day or in an hour, the employee will be rewarded accordingly. It can be about based on evaluation, performance appraisal and evaluation. Higher the appraisal, the higher is the reward, or it can be in form of benefits, or maybe in form of profit sharing in terms of stakeholding, that the more the organization has earned profit, even the employees are the stakeholders and they will also earn same amount of profit, and it is distributed among all the stakeholders. And the another can be employee stock ownership plans, where they have their own stock of profit and they tend to accrue that profit from time to time, or it can be bonus, which entails that every employee will avail some kind of monetary benefit based on the annual profit sharing among the employees. Now, this is something that if organizations have earned the profit, then only the bonus will be distributed, else it won't. So, these are the various forms of variable programs which talks about pay or which talks about money can be used as a reward system. So, what is a piece rate pay? It is a pay plan in which workers are paid a fixed sum for each unit of production completed. Now, sometimes it depends on an employee. If he produces maybe 20 pieces in an hour, or maybe another employee will produce 40 pieces in an hour. So, definitely the person who is manufacturing 40 pieces will gain more reward than the employee who has just manufactured 20 pieces per hour. So, this is piece rate pay plan. This plan has long been popular as a means of compensating production workers with a fixed sum of each unit of production completed, but it can be used in any organizational setting where the outputs are similar enough to be evaluated by quantity. So, this kind of plan are known to produce higher productivity and wages, so they can be attractive to organizations and motivating workers. The point is that this kind of plan is applicable to which kind of workers, especially for assembly line workers who are into manufacturing process and how they are producing maximum number of units in an hour and how they are winning those wages. The other is merit based pay plan. It is a pay plan based on performance appraisal ratings. The higher is the appraisal, the higher is the reward. So, the main advantage is that high performers can get bigger raises, and if designed correctly, merit based plans let individuals perceive a strong relationship between their performance and the rewards. So, this motivates an individual to perform better in order to gain higher raises. This is merit based plan, or it can be skill based plan. Despite their intuitive appeal, merit pay plans have several limitations. One is that they are typically based on an annual performance appraisal and thus are only as valid as the performance ratings, which are often subjective. Definitely, when co-workers tend to appraise your performance, that appraisal can become subjective rather being more objective, and this leads to discrimination or biases. Another limitation is that the pay price pool of available funds fluctuates on economic or other conditions that have little to do with individual performance. It can be about maybe organization has encountered any annual loss, then maybe the pay can also reduce at the time of appraisal. The other is bonus. It is a pay plan that reward employees for recent performances rather than historical performance. It is an annual bonus and is a significant component of total compensation for many jobs. So, bonus plans are offered to employees at all levels of the organizations. It is an annual pay plan. Maybe every Diwali or in every festive season, employees will receive some bonus at every level, every employee. So, this is the incentive basically which is being offered to all the levels of the organization, and the effects are higher than those of merit pay because bonus rewards recent performance. When times are bad, firms can cut bonuses to reduce compensation cost, although based on the performance of the company, employees decide the percentage of bonus. So, everything depends on the annual profit of the organization, and accordingly the bonus is decided. Thus, bonus has very strong motivating effect on workers, potentially boosting their performance and productivity. Ultimately, it talks about performance, maybe the present performance, maybe the annual performance, but reward is completely based on monetary aspects, and that monetary aspect can vary from time to time. The other is profit sharing. It is an organization wide program that distributes compensation based on some established formula designed around a company's profitability. So, this is the idea of profit sharing plan, and these plans have also been linked to high levels of employee commitment, especially in small organizations. So, how it works in any organization. So, profit sharing at the organization level appears to have positive impact on employee attitude and reports greater feeling of psychological ownership. Why psychological ownership? Because when the annual profit of any organization is shared by the employees of the organization, they tend to experience a feeling of some kind of autonomy or control or ownership in that organization. So, this is about that organizations owe something to the employees at the same time, and they tend to share that profit with the employees. So, this develops a sense of belongingness among employees that they are significant part of that organizations. So, research in Canada indicates that profit sharing plans motivate individuals to higher job performance when they are used in combination with other pay for performance plans. Obviously, profit sharing does not work when there is no reported profit per se, such as in non-profit organizations or often in the public sector. Again, it depends on the culture of the organization. If we talk about Indian organizations, we have public organizations or sectors where profit sharing is not a practice in public organizations, but maybe in private organizations we do have. And on top of that, if organizations do not have earn any profit annually, then the profit sharing can be higher or lower depending on the amount. So, this is about profit sharing plan where monetary benefits that are being given to any individual employee based on performance is part of approach that motivates employees. The other is employee stock ownership plans. It is a company established benefits plan in which employee acquire stock often at below market prices as part of their benefits. So, maybe the percentage of ownership in that organization is very less, but when annually when the company has earned some profit, so that profit will be shared with that employee, maybe a small amount, but based on the stock ownership, that also becomes the right of the employee to earn that profit. So, this is employee stock ownership plans. This indicates an increase in job satisfaction and innovation and a sense of psychological ownership. When you have your share, a percentage of share in the organization, that gives a sense of control and ownership, because whatever profit the organization has earned, it will come to you in any case. So, these kind of plans may not inspire lower absenteeism or greater motivation, perhaps because the employee's actual monetary benefit comes with cashing in the stock at a later date. Thus, employees needs to be kept regularly informed about the status of the profit that has been earned by the organization and have the opportunity to influence it positively to feel motivated to a higher personal performance. But yes, the most important advantage of this kind of plan is that it protects the management to perform any unethical behavior, and they have to be very transparent in their business because every employee has its own sharing in form of stock and they cannot manipulate the earnings of the firm. So, this is the most important benefit of employee stock ownership plan, that it prevents the organization, especially the higher authorities and management, to perform or indulge in any kind of unethical behavior and be more transparent. Another approach is using benefits to motivate employees in terms of flexible benefits. Flexible benefits individualize rewards by allowing each employee to choose the compensation package that best satisfies his or her current needs and situations. So, whatever the benefits are being offered to any individual employee, the individual employee has some kind of freedom to customize those benefit plans as per their needs. Maybe a young employee will more prefer to use some kind of benefit for vacation with family, and maybe any senior employee would prefer to have more pension or insurance in his beneficial scheme. So, this is flexible benefit. So, these accommodate differences in employee needs based on age, marital status, partners benefits status, and member number and age of dependents. So, this is something where there is lot of flexibility in availing the benefits which are being offered by the organization, and when these benefits are being customized as per the need of the employee, that motivates employees to work harder in order to avail those benefits, enhances performance, and more commitment will be there towards the organization. So, some organizations that have moved to flexible plans reported increased employee retention, job satisfaction and productivity. But at the same time, it has some downsides also. They may be costlier to administrate, and identify the motivational impact of different provisions is challenging. Why? Because maybe in some cases availing vacation maybe for one organization seems to be very expensive, and maybe the same is not that much expensive for the other organization. Insurance tends to be more secured and profitable scheme in terms of vacation. So, whenever we are trying to weigh the pros and cons of these benefits, then administrative cost is very high in such kind of flexible benefits. Another is recognition program in terms of enhancing the intrinsic motivation of employees. This is through praise, which is more subjective in nature, to encourage employee behaviors by formally appreciating employees' contributions. So, sometimes it is more heavy than monetary benefit, that we are complimenting, we are appreciating, we are recognizing the performance of the employee in a very subjective manner that has more emotions and more personal touch to an individual's contribution. So, organizations are increasingly realizing the significance of recognition programs and other ways of increasing an employee's intrinsic motivation work to lift their morale. So, these programs range from spontaneous and private thank you notes to widely publicized formal programs in which the procedures for attaining recognition are clearly identified. Research suggests that financial incentives may be more motivating in short term, but in long run non-financial incentives work the best. For example, a praise that you have done a great job, that will have a long lasting impact on an employee rather than just paying him some amount for his top performance. Thus, we can say that employee recognition programs are associated with self-esteem, self-efficacy and job satisfaction, and not with monetary satisfaction. The obvious advantage of recognition program is that they are inexpensive. For example, as I mentioned, praise is free. With or without financial rewards, they can be highly motivating to employees. Any employee who has been praised by the CEO of the organization will have a lifetime impact on his work life, whereas praise in form of monetary benefit will only have that impact maybe for few days or few months, and it will fade. Further, recognition programs are likely to be perceived by employees as fair, yes, if at the same time if they are not being recognized and they are rather being abused, then they undermine the value of recognition programs and most of the times demoralize employees. Therefore, where formal recognition programs are used, care must be taken to ensure fairness, because when it comes to appraisal, then maybe because of bias or discrimination the appraisal can be subjective and unnecessarily it will go high for one employee in comparison to the other. But yes, if it is recognized in a very true manner, then carries lot of weightage in comparison to any monetary benefit. So, these are some of the approaches to motivate employees in form of variable pay programs such as piece rate, merit based bonus, profit sharing or employee stock ownership plans, can be in terms of flexible benefits or in terms of recognition programs. So, we are through with this module of motivation. We will start with the next module. Thank you so much.